Alright, so this is going to be my slide portion, and again, I'm filming this on my phone and I'm going to upload it because it is way faster than uploading on the internet in the hotel room. This is MineCon Post-Custom Map Panel advice for map makers and potentially interesting information for map players. So before the convention, I actually prepared 3 slides just in case we would have a projector or I needed to hold up printed visuals to make my points. So I tried to kind of put like one tagline, like who are you trying to please in this case, and then just my advice and some kind of a visual for people to remember it by. So people in the panel, I think somebody asked, how can I make a map and get Yogscast to play it, or something like that, or has Yogscast played their maps or whatever. It is very, very hard when you're first starting off to think about this any other way. Like, you're focused in on getting Yogscast to play because they inspired you to play and make maps. They are popular, they get 2 million plus views per video. That is so attractive to map makers, and that's how I started off. I was like, I want to make a map that Yogscast is going to play. I made a Fallout-based map. They played it. I think they made my map look better than it is, and it's a half-good map. It probably would get like a... Actually, I'll talk about its score in a minute. But the point is, I got lucky because I made that map early in Minecraft. Now they're deluged with hundreds and hundreds of maps every day, and they can't play them all, nor do they want to play them all because they're not all good. There's no good system for screening a map to see if it's Yogscast worthy. And I'm throwing around the name of Yogscast because it's such an easy example, but the same applies to hundreds of other YouTubes. I now make maps a lot of times because, well, okay, I don't make them because of this, but one thing that tells me that my map is enjoyable if other map makers play my map, or if some of the folks that I would call friends that I've made through Minecraft, like Sean V. Martin or Two Girls One Minecraft, play my map. People that I know will treat my map with dignity and will share it with the fans and then get something out of it themselves on their YouTube channels. I can name a lot of other people. The Shaft podcast, they're now showing me some love. Minecraft After Dark and the Dawn and folks that I'm just really grateful I've had a chance to meet. Anyway, going off topic. First visual was, who are you trying to please? So as a map maker, my advice is aim for the center and then expand as you get experience. So at the center of this target is you. Make a map for yourself. If you enjoy what's in there, check off. You have a successful map. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone else out there. And this goes for any piece of art, anything that you are doing in the community. It is really hard to say, I'm going to make art for myself and no one is ever going to see it. For other people, it's hard to create art and then share it with other people. But in both cases, make the map for yourself. When you're happy with it, put it out there. And the second thing I would say is find friends, like close real-life friends, family, and show them what you did. If they enjoy it, of course they're going to support you. Hopefully they'll give you constructive criticism. But my son, for instance, is 9 years old. He's pretty much my target audience after myself. And he will like pretty much anything I do, but because he's 9, he gives candid feedback of what he doesn't like, and making him happy makes me happy and makes any map successful, even if I don't put it out on the forum. If you spend enough time on the forum, develop a community, develop a subscriber base on YouTube, that should be your third target, in my opinion, right? So getting them to play your map, you kind of have a built-in audience, and I mean the close community as the people that have commented on your forum post or that you've gone back and forth in a discussion. Make a map that pleases them. If they like sci-fi, if they like fantasy, good, right? I haven't even touched on these other outer rings yet, right? Next ring is the forums in general. It's going to be really hard to please everyone on the forums, let alone the people that are just in the map thread. let alone a subset that will find your map, right? But in between there, in between your subscribers or your community and the forums at large, I put a little bubble here for map reviewers. So myself, um, Call Snake, Cynthion, and TRG570. I might have just butchered your name because it's not in front of me, I'm sorry. And a couple other map review threads. Seriously review maps, play them, and provide feedback to make maps better. I think this should be your next target audience. And this audience lies in between your community and subscribers and in between the forums at large. Because a lot of times those people will become part of your community very quickly. And if they do, if they either A, enjoy your map, or they give you feedback and you respond and you incorporate their feedback and thank them for their feedback, they will most likely, become part of your community. So after the forums, I have everyone out here on the outer edge, right? This is everyone. You are never going to please everybody. It's a ridiculous goal, and just slightly between the forums at large and everyone is the Yogscast. So take that for what it's worth. This is my opinion on where you should set your expectations and where you should aim in building a map. I talked about this in the panel. This is what's your mapping radar. So really, again, know your strengths, play to your strengths while experimenting in other areas. So what I did was I broke map making into 5 main categories. Am I good at building large structures like uniquely shaped buildings, landscapes, angles, and curves? Am I good at putting in fine details, colors, textures, inconsequential details, reusing blocks for other textures? Or using fences for light posts, for example. Progression. Am I good at the difficulty? So did I put too many mob spawners? Do I put just the right amount? Pacing I talked about in the last video, and gear and scoring. Am I good at storytelling? Am I good at motivating the character? Does the character feel realistic? Or does the player feel like they're playing Minecraft? Are there story arcs? Are there plot devices? I was so happy when Sean V. Martin played my Mars mission map, and he was walking around the compound right around the ship, and he noticed this yellow bot facing north, and of course in the nether there's no way to tell what direction you're facing. And so this bot says, I think I'm facing north, but my compass is making me dizzy, or something like that, which is what players would experience if they picked up the compass in the ship. They would have no idea which way is north. But I put a bot in there that says, I think I'm facing north. And if you find that bot at the beginning when you're placing the redstone torches around the circle of the camp, which is where I placed the bot, you should then be able to fix north in your mind and always know where you're headed at all times in my map. If you don't find that bot, you may be able to use other clues to find your direction, or you may wander around and do my map out of order, which I also had to support. But the point is, as part of the story, I used a plot device to tell the story to you if you're paying attention. And then special effects, I clumped a lot of stuff here. So redstone to me and redstone puzzles, redstone contraptions are special effects. Note blocks and songs being played are a separate type of special effect that needs a separate type of expertise than redstone. And then falling blocks, like so putting sand in with MC Edit and intending it to stay there until your player walks on it and puts down a torch and then the ground falls out from below them, is a separate kind of special effect in my book because it uses the physics of Minecraft. And what I did was I asked each of the folks from the map panel to rate themselves on a 1 through 5 for each of these categories, and then I plotted it out, and you can see like all these different colored lines represent a map maker. None of us have the same profile in map making, but together we all, at least one of us has a 5 in every category, and some of us scored ourselves low in some categories, but all together we have a really good coverage of map making. And you know, this was just the diagram that I put together to visualize who you were talking to on the panel. And then last but not least, so this is going to go long again, but I think it's valuable info and it's something I want to share with you is just the growth of my map. So your first map, it's not going to be your epic legacy, probably. Um, the other folks on the panel, well, let's say Blame, Jigarbov, and Kupo were part of an epic map for their first time out, and that's awesome. And Jigarbov and Blame both followed it up with a small survival map that they themselves would not say is as epic as their first outing, and that's fine. Kupo is going to come out with something next that is bigger than Deep Space. It's an adventure world, not an adventure map, and it's going to be something completely unique out there when it comes out. My maps, like I came out with this map, World Out of Time. I would rate that somewhere between an 8 and a 10 on my 20-point scale. It was bad. There's some good highlights in there that I'm really proud of, but holding it all together and scoring it wasn't anywhere near as good as I thought it was. I got better with my Wonderland map, in my opinion, and by the way, I don't put these ratings out on my own forum because another map maker, Resficent, gave me some really great advice that I should not score my own maps because it makes me look biased, but this is where I would rate my maps. And you know, I would encourage you guys to come up with a way to rate your own maps if you're into data and numbers. So my Wonderland map got better. My Clue map was a completely different type of map. This is pretty much a multiplayer, intended for 6 people adaptation of the classic board game. So it is somewhat of a puzzle map, although the puzzle is, I would say it's between a puzzle and a scavenger hunt map, because you do have to solve the mystery, but you're running around finding chests for clues. And I would rate that about equal with Wonderland, although the breakdown in categories is very different. So then I went back to adventure maps with Fear and a Handful of Dust. I felt that was a little bit better than Wonderland. And then I was super, super excited about my Superheroes map. It's got a couple flaws, so it's not a perfect score, but I feel like that one hit on most of my categories almost perfectly. And then I went and made my survival map, which was called Time Bomb, and this is basically centered around a unique function of water. I'll let you go look that one up on the forums. Garfield Digs In is somewhat of a puzzle or an escape map at the heart of it, but it's telling a story in comic book form, panel by panel, of a typical day in the life of Garfield the cat. And then I embarked on Mars Mission, and you know, this scale was in place somewhere around the Superheroes time, and so I intentionally built Mars Mission to try and give myself a perfect score and hit on all the things that I like in maps, and I think I've done that from my opinion. It's not going to be the top in every list, but you know, I'm very happy with what I put out there. And the map I'm working on now is Grinchmas, which you can see in some of my other YouTube videos if you subscribe to my channel. And this one is not going to quite hit a 20 out of 20, mainly because the difficulty is very low. You play it on peaceful. There's no puzzles per se, although it has some special effects that I'm proud of. The build, the custom texture pack, the creativity, I think is great. It's probably my favorite story that I've written for a Minecraft map yet. But anyway, this is like how my maps have kind of grown over time. Obviously, you know, it's mostly on an upward trend, except where I specifically made maps that wouldn't fit my particular scale. But in all cases, I can tell you that the detail and the creativity overall has gone up and has been focused on tighter and tighter design in my map. So if you want to check any of these out, please do let me know what you think of them. And if you're creating maps, like I say, point here is don't be afraid to put out a map that's not that great and then put out another one that's even better. I've seen, let's say, a dozen map makers who have come out with sequels to their maps. In almost all cases, they're better. Sometimes I think a map is so good that it just doesn't require a sequel, and a sequel will make the storyline feel stretched. Star Wars Episode 1. But anyway, so that's it. This is another long one. I hope you guys get something out of these videos. I was so blessed to share some time with people at MineCon in the custom map panel. I hope that the audio for that is out for everyone to enjoy. And I will continue to talk about maps on the Map Makers After Hour podcast, on my forum, on my YouTube channel, anywhere I can get time with other map makers, build contests, Minecraft Band Builder server, podcasts, whatever I can do to just make myself available to people. That is what makes me happy with Minecraft. And I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you soon.